Name: Andy Isabella SCHOOL, Massachusetts, UMass Conference, Independent Position, Wide Receiver Class, Senior Jersey, No. 5 Recruitment Rating, 3-star HT, 5, 8 and 7/8 WT, 186 D.O.B, in November 18, 96 Highlights: Receptions 102, Receiving Yards 1698, Touchdowns 14 Highlights of UMass receiver and Biletnikoff finalist, Andy Isabella. I do not own the music or the video clips used in this highlight video. It is purely meant for entertainment purposes, no profit is being made off of these videos. Pros: Andy Isabella has shown the ability to play both out of the slot or on the outside during his time at UMass, but will likely find most of his success as a slot receiver in the NFL. His speed, precise route running, and football IQ are all pluses, and should help him get on the field early as a rookie. He is a natural hands catcher and has shown the ability to bend and contort his body to catch passes thrown outside his frame. He's quick off the line of scrimmage and has a good understanding of how to temper his routes to create space and separation. He also shows a good understanding of when to sit down against zone coverage. Quick feet help him get in out of his breaks with ease. Is a high motor player who leaves everything on the field. Has a background as a running back. His short area quickness combined with his long speed makes him dangerous after the catch. Has been used as a gadget player of sorts on jet sweeps, reverses, and end arounds. Also has return experience as both a punt and kick returner in college. Cons: the biggest negative about Andy Isabella is obviously his size. It may limit him to being a slot WR only in the NFL, although he has shown the ability to be a vertical threat at UMass, averaging 16.8 yards per reception his senior season. His lack of size also creates durability concerns. Isabella doesn't show a lot of strength on film either. This could hurt him beating press coverage in the NFL and also limit him as a blocker as well. The effort is there as a blocker, but due to his small stature and lack of strength he is mostly restricted to mirroring the defender and isn't going to drive them out of the play. Isabella's lack of size, strength will also hurt him in contested catch situations. Quarterbacks will have a tight window to fit the ball into him, even though he has shown the ability to bend and contort his body to catch balls thrown outside his frame. Cowboys fit: if the Dallas Cowboys are looking for another slot receiver to take the place of Cole Beasley, Andy Isabella should be at or near the top of their list. He can do all the things that made Beasley so great for so many years in Dallas, and could quite possibly be an upgrade as soon as he hits the field as a rookie. Like Beasley, Isabella would likely become quarterback Dak Prescott's best friend in the passing game, especially in the short to intermediate area of the field. His speed, route running ability, and sure hands make difficult to cover one-on-one all over the field, even as a vertical threat. His experience as both a punt and kick returner could make him the Cowboys' return specialist as well. Overall, there is a lot to like about the skill set Andy Isabella would bring to the Dallas Cowboys. He would have some large shoes to fill, but it would be just a matter of time before he became a fan favorite, much like the player he would be replacing, Cole Beasley. If the Cowboys want to secure his services though, they would likely have to use one of their Day 2 draft picks on him. The 2019 NFL Combine is upon us, and with the excitement of some sort of football being back also comes confusion for a lot of fans. Which drills matter? Which position groups do they matter for? How fast is fast? Do the Cowboys care about any of these drills in particular? The Combine, and the NFL Draft as a whole, can be a monster to decipher. Hell, it's tough for paid professionals to understand what they are looking at or should value most of the time. So, based on their tendencies in previous years, I have compiled a list of what drills and measurements seem to matter most to the Dallas Cowboys for their current positions of need. This way you can all be informed viewers this weekend, and shoot down any ridiculous proclamations made on the broadcast. Wide receiver working on something for at inside the start. See Here's the height, weight, 40 time, and 3 cone for every WR doll has taken since 2010. This list was compiled last year, but the numbers remain about the same. On average, Cowboys draftees at wide out run a 4.53-second 40-yard dash and a 3-cone just under 7 seconds. They also tend to be about 6 feet 0 inches tall, with 6 feet 2 inches being their ideal target. Des Bryant, 2010. In the third round last season, the Cowboys took Michael Gallup, who fit this description to a T. Gallup measured in a 6 feet 1 inch 205 and ran a 4.51 40 time and 6.953 cone. We could have seen his drafting coming from a mile away. Cedric Wilson was also right in line with the Cowboys' typical tendencies at 6 feet 2 inches, just shy of 200 pounds, a 40 time at 4.55, and a 6.893 cone time. The Cowboys haven't drafted a receiver who ran better than 4.5 during the Jason Garrett era. This seems impossible, but they may need to buck this trend if they want to find their quick slot receiver in this draft class. That quickness in the slot is typically about movement and shiftiness in a short area, however, which isn't as applicable to the 40 time. Tight end. There isn't a ton of meaningful data to examine when it comes to the Cowboys drafting tight ends, but their selection of Dalton Schultz last year did point to some preferences. Dallas seemed to value Dalton Schultz's 3-cone and broad jump scores, and you should pay attention to those two drills in particular, as Dallas does believe they are good indicators of explosiveness in a player. Outside of those, you can see a pattern in who the Cowboys like at tight end based on these numbers. I'd consider these thresholds when taking a look at the tight end workouts this weekend at the NFL Combine. Defensive tackle. Building the Cowboys IDL board, the way I built the WR board. Here's how some popular DL stack up to former Cowboys picks since 2011. Once again, this list was compiled last year, but the Cowboys did not draft an interior defensive lineman in the 2018 draft, so this remains true. Honestly, the Cowboys don't seem to care about defensive tackles. They just about ignore it on draft day, and have only taken one within the first 3 rounds during the Garrett era. The one tackle they did draft had an excellent 3-cone time by their limited standards, but the dataset is too small to draw any real conclusions. 3-cone, broad jump, and 20-yard shuttle are the 3 workout side. Pay attention to when it comes to defensive tackles, though. Safety. The Cowboys have done most of their safety drafting on day 3, but the targets indicated in this spreadsheet are still valuable when projecting who they could target at 58. Xavier Woods is the real indicator here. He's the lightest and shortest of the bunch, but his 40 time, 20-yard shuttle, 3-cone, and broad jump are all right in line with what the Cowboys tend to target. This says, to me, that the Cowboys can look past being undersized by their usual measurements if the player is explosive enough in those on-field drills. Woods passed the thresholds for the on-field drills with relative ease, and is now one of the better defensive backs on the Cowboys roster. It's also important to note that the majority of the drafted safeties were considered strong safeties in the league, such as Frazier and Wilcox. These players would generally be heavier and bigger than someone like Xavier Woods, who plays in more of a free safety role. With the Combine kicking off this week, it's a great time to get out my first mock draft of the season. Considering the Cowboys don't have a first-round pick, doing a traditional first-round mock really isn't valuable on this site. Instead, here is my first official try at a 7-round mock for the Cowboys' 2019 NFL Draft. This was done using the Draft Network's mock draft simulator, meaning that the 4th-round compensatory pick was not available for use. This is why there is only one 4th-round selection in this mock draft. 58th overall, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, S., Florida, September 29, 2018, Starkville, MS, USA, Florida Gators defensive back Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, 23, reacts with teammates after defeating the Mississippi State Bulldogs at Davis Wade Stadium. Mandatory credit, Matt Bush. USA Today Sports. With their first selection in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Cowboys attempt to improve their secondary with Florida's Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. Gardner-Johnson played all over the field as a defensive back for the Gators in college, starting as a safety in 2017 but operating more in a nickel role in 2018. He is a versatile defensive weapon who can fill multiple roles, but can be used opposite Xavier Woods in this Cowboys defense. Gardner-Johnson can play as a deep safety in single high, in split zone, in the slot in man coverage against tight ends, receivers, and even in the box due to his tackling ability and physicality. 90th overall, Andy Isabella, WR, UMass. With their second selection, the Cowboys fill arguably their biggest need on offense, getting a playmaking slot receiver with Andy Isabella. He likely will be available in the third round, but he would be a steal on my board if taken 90th overall. Though undersized, Isabella wins with his quickness, fast feet, and route running ability, and will be an immediate contributor as a receiving weapon underneath and over the middle. Isabella would be the perfect heir to Cole Beasley's throne, if the Cowboys do decide to move on from the veteran wideout. 122nd overall, Jalen Mack, IDL, Texas A. Mack wins with his explosiveness, leverage, and body control through contact. He would serve as a rotational defensive tackle from day one, offering solid run defense and upside as an interior pass rusher. 155th overall, Bryce Love, RB, Stanford. The Cowboys could use a backup to Ezekiel Elliott who can effectively in his own blocking scheme and offer value as a pass catcher out of the backfield. In the 5th round here, they snag Stanford's Bryce Love and get exactly that. Love was a clear leader at Stanford, and has the mental toughness a coach like Jason Garrett will love. Not to mention he can be a real weapon when running wide zone. Obviously injuries are a concern for Bryce Love, but on day 3 he's worth a roll of the dice. 219th overall, Jalen Hurd, WR, Baylor. Cowboys draft target, Baylor Bears. WR. Jalen Hurd. With their final pick in the 2019 NFL Draft, the Cowboys look for another offensive playmaker in Baylor's Jalen Hurd. Though he lacks experience as a receiver after his position change, Hurd is a 6 feet 4 inches 220 target who is dangerous after the catch. Most likely he'd be lost in the shuffle of the Cowboys wideouts after already drafting Isabella and trading for Amari Cooper, but with his athletic profile and natural traits, Hurd could be a steal late in the draft. Michael D.O.B is another in a long line of NFL draft hidden gems. The talented defensive lineman from Temple is fresh off his senior season and thanks to a strong outing at the Senior Bowl, he's starting to get some recognition. The 6 feet 3 inches 285-pound senior in 2019 had a very strong finish to his collegiate career, earning first-team all-conference honors with 12.5 tackles for loss, 7 sacks and 3 forced fumbles. A very strong final season has included his name in a very stacked defensive line draft. Unfortunately for him, this year is stocked full of defensive line talent which will cause players like him to fall. Despite that, he's nonetheless a very talented player and one that some team will be lucky to have. I spoke with D.O.B, talking about his future in the league, his skills and where he believes he belongs in this year's draft class. One of my favorite things to look for in the draft is hidden gems. Players who might either be undersized, or because they didn't go to a bigger football conference. Why do you think you've been overlooked up to this point? D.O.B, coming off a season where I wasn't as productive due to injuries really put me under the radar. Not having the same production as my senior year hurt a bit, especially in a deep D-line class. Let's talk about this year's D-line class. It's the deepest position group in the draft. You could make the argument that in a less deep class that you would go much higher. Do you think you'll fall as a result? Or do you think you're going to get drafted right about where you should be? D.O.B, I know my worth and the work that I have put in within the last 4.5 years. I believe I will get drafted. I believe one team will take a chance on me. I'm not worried about which round, I just want to come in and show I belong and can contribute to a team as best as possible. Me, you've got a lot of desirable traits. You're big, fast off the snap, you show a lot of power at the point of attack, and you've played all along the defensive line. You've covered the center, you play the 3 technique and even outside on the edge. What system do you think you best fit, and what position do you think you should play at the next level? D.O.B. I am really comfortable playing a true 3 tech into 5 tech, but I do it all from 6, 4i, 2i, 3-5. I learned all the spots at Temple, but being a guy closer to 290, I feel the end into 3 tech is where I'll be most successful. Me, what would you say is your best attribute? D.O.B. My strength and ability to rush inside and off the edge. Me, the Dallas Cowboys are a team that I write about, and they showed strong interest in you. How would you feel about wearing a star on Sundays? D.O.B. It would be a great honor to play for them, as it would be to play for any team in the NFL. Not many get the opportunity, and I'd be so extremely blessed to do so. Me, many players like you go from being a student athlete to an actual professional. Now, you're a businessman just as much as you're a football player. What's that process been like? And what's been most difficult about that transition? D.O.B. It's definitely different. It's no more classes or study hours as far as college. You get time to focus on football and taking care of your body 100%. Me, if there's one thing you want every team, every fan base, every GM to know about you and why they should go with you, what would that be? D.O.B. I'm a guy that will come in and contribute. I will do everything I possibly can to help the team win a championship. I'm a guy who is a worker. My priority is football, and I do everything I can to get better each and every day. I stay coachable and look to learn different things to be the best football player I can be. Talent is God-given, but I'm a guy who controls how much effort I put in every day on the field and on the board. I remain coachable and give it my all. Me, thanks for your time. I really appreciate it. Michael D.O.B. still has a few months to go until his name is called in late April, but his stock is only growing. Once America sees him at the Combine, and once he meets with all those NFL execs, don't be shocked if Michael D.O.B. becomes one of this year's draft risers.